Hi, this is Chef Skip. Let's talk about cheese. The first cheese-making efforts took place in the arid climate of Mesopotamia around 6000 to 7000 BCE. Cheese's complexity begins with the intricacy of milk, its primary ingredient, which is high in protein, fat, and sugar. These solids disperse in the serum or the whey of the milk. The cheesemaker's primary goal is to separate the milk solids from the milk serum, to preserve the resulting mass of protein, fat, sugar, and residual moisture. What is cheese? Cheese is defined as a food product made from the pressed curd of milk, mainly made from cows, goats, ewes, and buffalo's milk. Each produce a wide range of colors, textures, aromas, and flavors. The terroir, or the climate and geography, of a place often restrict the type of animal suitable for the landscape. Cheese is thought of as a living food because of the friendly living bacteria that are continually changing it. Raw milk. According to the United States Food and Drug Administration, milk is a potentially hazardous food due to its nourishing composition, high water activity, and relatively neutral pH. In the United States, federal law requires that all cheese for sale must either be made with pasteurized milk or be aged for a minimum of 60 days. To date, some states allow the sale of raw milk, while others do not. In 2011, the FDA was reviewing policies on the production of raw milk cheese. Make sure you understand your jurisdiction's laws regarding the sale and processing of raw milk before proceeding. Artisan cheeses and dairies in the United States. In 1851, the first real cheese factory in America was established in Rome, New York. The economic benefits of centralized production, combined with the efforts to standardize cheese quality and ensure food safety, have resulted in a commodification of cheese on a global scale. However, artisan and farmstead cheese makers have preserved the individuality of unique cheeses of certain places. Increasing numbers of American artisan cheese makers continue and enrich this tradition in numbers that suggest a movement in favor of the diversity that cheese's history affords us, all in the benefit of the garde manger. The basic stages in modern cheese production: milk and its pre-treatment, including homogenization, pasteurization, or heating and inoculation, acidification of the milk to change the pH level, coagulating or curdling the milk to create curds, separating the curds in whey, salting the curds, shaping, cutting, or molding, lest the curds into their appropriate shapes, and ripening. Basic tools of cheesemaking. Cheesemaking relies upon time and temperature control. In artisan as well as industrial creameries, common equipment such as pasteurizers, steam-jacketed make vats, cheese harps, and climate-controlled ripening rooms or caves facilitate the ease of making cheese. Small-scale cheese making in a commercial kitchen requires minimal investment, but equipment is available to help maintain the exactitudes of cheese making more easily. Milk sources and quality. Because milk quality determines cheese quality, expect cheese to turn out only as good as the milk in which it begins. The animal's diet impacts milk quality and flavor. The sanitation of the milking conditions and the proper storage of milk are vital steps. When working with milk, curd, and cheese, always operate with a gentle hand. Pasteurization of milk. Pasteurization is a heat treatment that significantly reduces the presence of all microorganisms, in which a liquid is heated to a particular temperature and held there for a specific period of time to destroy the naturally occurring bacteria in the milk. The downside is that the process destroys not only pathogens, but also the friendly bacteria, which are not only safe but also play an important role in producing cheeses. The majority of cheese in the United States is produced from pasteurized milk. The transformation process. The transformation of milk into cheese begins with adjusting the temperature of the milk for bacterial incubation. Overheating milk during pasteurization may denature its proteins and render it unusable for making cheese. In addition, heating milk above the temperature tolerated by the starter culture will inhibit the culture and significantly compromise the success and safety of the cheese. Cultures. Acidification of milk. Different types of cheese will call for different bacterial cultures or heteroaffirmative mixes of cultures. Their purpose is multifold: lactic acid production, flavor production, and advancing cheese ripening. Coagulating or curdling the milk. Acid starters will change the milk rapidly, souring the milk as well as forming curds and tightening proteins. The three principal manners of cheese making differ in the methods used to make the curd. 1. Acid set curd. An acid addition such as vinegar or citric acid is put in at high heat. 2. Set the curd with rennet. 3. Lactic set curd. Takes up to 18 hours more to complete the curd set through natural bacterial acidification. Commercially processed milk may need the addition of calcium chloride to ensure a firm curd set. Rennet, an enzyme starter originally obtained from the forestomach of young ruminant animals such as cows, sheep, and goats. Today, animal pepsin, microbial, recombinant casein, and vegetable rennets are available. The rennet that will give the cheese the desired flavor is the one that the cheesemaker will use. Suppliers offer rennet in powder, tablet, and liquid form, although the liquid form is very reliable and most common. Monitoring acidification and target acidities. Milk acidifies significantly during the cheese making process, meaning the pH level drops. All cheeses will demonstrate some level of acidification, and individual recipes may often suggest the goal acidity of milk at various stages during the make process. Cutting the curds. When the milk coagulates, it generally forms a soft mass curd that must be broken up to allow the non-coagulated portion of the milk, known as the whey, to drain off. Cutting the curd accelerates the acidification and dramatically advances the goal of the cheese making, isolating the milk solids from the liquids and preserving them. The high acidity of lactic curd facilitates the rapid draining of these cheese. This is the end of the molding and draining of lactic cheese, but rennet-set curd requires a number of other steps. Cooking, hooping, and pressing the curds. Cooking allows the curd pieces to expel whey in contrast. Hooping molds the curds into a desired shape. Pressing cheese requires a gradual increase of pressure on the cheese, expelling additional whey. New cheese should remain in a warm and humid environment as it continues to drain whey. Salting. Salt is vital for stabilizing and dehydrating the cheese, regulating bacterial activity, enhancing flavor, and making the cheese less susceptible to infection. Salt may be added in various points in the cheese making process, but it's usually done after drainage and whey from the curd. Salt's effects on cheese making. It adds flavor, it controls fermentation, it limits spoilage, it dries the cheese, and the drier the cheese, the longer its useful life. Ripening, also known as aging or curing. Cheese takes on its intended character in the ripening environment at about 95% relative humidity and 55 degrees Fahrenheit. This is where the magic of flavor development takes place. Changes during ripening affect flavor, texture, body, and occasionally color. Cheese ripens from the outside to the center. All new cheese must be turned on regular intervals, usually once every 1 or 2 days, to prevent moisture collecting and spoilage. During ripening, lactic acid bacteria continue to consume lactose. These transformations may soften the taste, as in a washed rind cheese, or yield intensely piquant notes, as common for some hard Italian cheeses. Evaluating development. Once the anticipated amount of ripening time has passed, core samples from a ripening wheel help to check the cheese's progress and readiness for consumption. A cheese trier aids in sampling cheese. When evaluating, check for visual aspect of the gradient color, aroma, flavor, texture, or consistency. Generally, cheese will become more acidic, drier, perceptibly saltier, and concentrated as it ages. Cheese classifications: fresh cheese, bloomy rind cheese, natural rind cheese, washed rind cheese, and blue cheese. Fresh cheeses: unripened and highly perishable. They're pale white in color and generally a fine texture. The aroma should radiate a clean, lactic aroma with hints of acid fruitiness. Flavors of fresh cheese range widely depending on the milk used, the fat content of the cheese, and the moisture content of the cheese. Soft and spreadable, however, fresh cheese does not melt well. Examples: chèvre, fromage blanc, German quark, cottage cheese, cream cheese, feta, and ricotta. Soft, ripened, bloomy cheeses. Bloomy refers to the velvety mold growth on the surface of the cheese, which should fully and evenly encase the cheese. The rind should remain firmly attached to the cheese and not readily peel or slip off like a skin. The aroma should be unobtrusive to the nose. Bloomy rind cheeses smell mushroomy and earthy on the rind and richly milky on the interior. The flavor is generally mild and creamy on the palate, delivering sweet, salty, acidic, and even slight bitter tastes in a balanced complement to each other. When whole, the cheese should give under slight pressure. When cut, the center ivory paste should bulge outward. Examples: Brie, Camembert, Saint Marais, goat cheese. Natural rind cheese. Mini-aged semi-soft, more than 45% moisture, or semi-hard, 35 to 45% moisture, artisan and farmstead cheeses show a natural rind. Rind should always show integrity. Cracks, wet areas, or other physical damage indicate a compromised cheese. When inspecting a cheese with a hard developed rind, look at the gradient color closest to the rind. Earthy, nutty, caramelized, mushroomy, piquant, and fruity aromas are emitted in aged natural rind cheeses. This broad category ranges widely in flavor from sweet and nutty to piquant and salty. Texture ranges from soft to relatively firm. Washed rind cheese. Generally the most aromatic of all cheeses, washed rind cheeses tend to show interesting tactile qualities and unique color. Rinds should not be slimy or cracked, but they will generally show a range of color from golden amber to deep reddish orange. Known as the stinky cheeses, this category often surprises consumers with its richly sweet and salty taste accented by earthy aromas. Flavor lends itself to an almost meaty flavor profile. Texture varies widely with washed rind cheeses. Blue cheese. Because blue mold will only grow on exposed surfaces, on or within the cheese, all blue cheese is porous to some degree. Most blue cheeses contain between 30 and 50% moisture and around 30% fat in their dry matter. Because of their high moisture content, blue cheeses come wrapped in foil. The direct and piercing aroma of Penicillium roqueforti announces a ripe blue cheese from a distance, earthy and mushroomy with an almost metallic edge. While many blue cheeses taste sweet and earthy, their aroma may suggest a stronger intensity. The cheese has a salty mineral tang against creamy sweet paste flavor profile. Examples: Danish Blue, Gorgonzola, Maytag, Stilton, and Roquefort. Depending on the fat content of the cheese, blue cheese can range from firm, somewhat drier cheese to a softer, creamier texture. Caring for cheeses, storage and handling. Because cheese is a living food with active biological attributes, it is critical to maintain the highest standards in sanitation during handling. Buy cheese on a regular basis in small quantities. Hard cheeses risk drying out or taking on foreign aromas. Soft, ripened, and washed rind cheese should be purchased close to the height of ripeness because they degrade quickly. Mold is a natural for most cheeses and usually does not indicate spoilage. The Food and Drug Administration recommends if cheeses become unnaturally moldy, they may be trimmed by cutting half to 1 inch past the mold.